Okay, welcome everybody. Hello, hope y'all are doing well tonight. Good to see all your smiling faces. If you have your cameras on, if you don't, please turn them on so we can see your smiling faces. It'll help a lot with networking and when we get in person, so we'll know you when we see you. So we got a great case study tonight. That's gonna be really cool. But of course, first we have to get through our announcements. And let me tell you the main thing that we need right now. Oh, I'm sorry. My camera's off because I was eating. And then when I restarted the slideshow, I noticed the camera went back on and I was scarfing food down. I turned it off again real quick. Sorry. It was embarrassing. Here's what we need more than anything right now. The best way to get involved with TRIA and to make the most of it and to become active is to volunteer. Now, we have not needed a whole lot of volunteers in the last year because with Zoom meetings, you know, we don't need check-in people or ambassadors or anything like that. But we are slowly going back. As you know, we have 3 live meetings this week. We have Wilmington and, 3 this month, 2 this week, Wilmington and Experienced, and then we have West later on in the month. So we are getting to where we need volunteers. Juan Moreno is our volunteer coordinator. He's looking for volunteers right now to do check-in as subgroups. And I think he's got this month's subgroup covered, but you know, within a few months, we'll be back live at the main meeting and we need more for that. But in addition to the normal volunteers that we always need, we do have some specialized needs. So if you guys have expertise in any of these areas or know anyone who does, we could really use you. First of all, when we go back live, we're going to be limited numbers. So we're going to have a hybrid, you know, if say we're going to be only to have 100 members in a room, we're also going to live stream so that more people can see the meeting. And we have experimented with this at our mastermind meetings with some other groups. We have a tech person who showed us how to do it. We know the equipment we need. What we really need is a TRIA person to take charge of that for us because we all are going to have enough to do to run the meeting, but that's really not the main reason. It's just that we don't have any idea what we're doing. And we would love to have somebody who does. We could really, really use that. We could also use help with social media. If you have expertise here, I would love some help with social media. And I know Jackie would love some help with publicity and PR and getting stuff out. So any of those things, if you guys can do or know other members who can do, please spread the word. And the other thing that we are in the middle of right now is Karen Lewis, our board member who's on the meeting tonight. In addition to running the new Wilmington subgroup, Karen is also revamping our vendor member program. We have 2 people working with her on a paid basis, which are 2 of our members, James Clark and April Williams. But what we're really looking to grow that vendor program for several reasons. One, when we are live, this has not been a problem in the past year because again, Zoom is, you know, pretty cheap. Not free, but it's pretty cheap. But meetings are very expensive and the food and the cost of rooms is not covered by our member dues. So the thing that helps, we try to keep those dues low. We do not want to raise them. What helps us be able to do that is things like our vendor member program, some of the classes, some of the Saturday seminars, some of the selling speakers. Those are the things that allow us to keep dues low for everyone. So right now, and eventually that program will take off on its own. April and James and Karen, they'll get rocking and rolling. But we're looking to jumpstart it. So if you know any vendor who would benefit from TRIA members, and you know, it doesn't have to be just real estate because all of us get haircuts and buy tires. So it can be any service provider or goods provider that you like. Recommend them to us because 1, it helps keep your dues down. It helps build a community because really getting vendors really helps tie us all together. When we get vendors, they come to meetings, they'll sponsor different events, members start to use their services. The more they get to know the members and the members use them, the more involved in TRIA they'll become, they'll do more, sponsor more, give back more. So it really just becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. And then when they do that, more members will get to know them and use them. It really helps grow the family, as James Clark always says, community, because TRIA is above all a community of investors that, helps each other, provides education, helps you to find money and deals. And that's what being an investor is all about. So it helps build that community. So if those two things aren't reason enough for you to do it, we'll also pay you a finder's fee. So how about that? So send us your people, send them to Karen. She just put her email in the chat. Okay, congratulations, Helen Feeney. She saw herself in our picture, so she won 10 trivia bucks.
Yay, Helen. She's quick. I tell you what, if anything, Helen is really, really quick.
Yep.
You go,
so
girl.
We have some exciting new stuff coming up for you. As you know, we have our new program that's only on social media, which is 2 Rehab Tuesday. You can follow 2 very different rehabs on there every Tuesday, and just search hashtag 2 Rehab Tuesday. And right now it's on Facebook, but we're trying to recover the Instagram and Twitter accounts. I have set up new ones in case I can't recover the old ones. But after I set up new ones, I found that we had 7,000 followers on Instagram. So man, I hate to lose that. So, but anyway, for now it's on Facebook, but keep your eye peeled for the other socials as well. And if we get a good volunteer, dude, we can have we can also beef up our YouTube account and be like the cool kids and have a TikTok account, so if we get some help, we can do more, and you can see us all TRIA all the time on all your socials.
Oh no, not the TRIA channel. Woo.
Yeah, there you go. All TRIA all the time. Okay, and then we have, as you know, our new prep program, prep wholesale class is in progress. That class is full. We're about on our 5th class now. We're rocking and rolling, and we're having a great time, man. What a great group of students I have. Let me tell you, they're going to get a deal soon. I have a feeling. That's prep in person. After prep wholesale winds up, we will be having a prep rehab, which will be our 2nd one. We did that last year. The whole class bought a house, rehabbed it, and sold it. In fact, you have 2 of the class members on this meeting, maybe more. I think 3. I think Ashling's here. Anyway, it was great. And that'll be coming up in a couple months. And then we have prep virtual, which is once a month. And it takes a simple task, step by step, where you can do it along with us at your computer. This month, we have our own Allie Parnell, who's going to teach you how to make videos for your business. So cool. Okay, that's all the announcements I can think of that I have. Mentorship program. If anyone is interested in a mentor, which a mentor is a deeper dive than the prep classes. With prep, you get really good hands-on, but you're doing one project as a class. With a mentorship, you'll have someone to hold your hands the whole way through and do your own projects, and really cater the education to you. That's headed up by our board member, Lionel Finley, who's also on the meeting tonight. And man, if you go to Bigger Pockets or these national mentorship programs where you're going to pay $40,000, $50,000, ours is a killer deal. It's only about a 1/5 of that. So hit Lionel up if you're interested in that. Board members on our call tonight are, I mentioned Karen Lewis already, and I mentioned, who else did I mention? Oh, Lionel already, who's heading up our mentorship. We also have Leslie Ortiz, our vice president. We have Crystal Slater, who's in charge of our special projects. We have Jackie Richard, who does all of our communications, publicity, and PR. And I'm Kathy Russell. I'm the 2021 president. So with that, Leslie will tell you what we have upcoming, and then we will turn it over to your subgroup leader, Karen.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Good to see smiley face. It's a beautiful day outside. Finally, if we could just get rid of the yellow stuff, we'd be happy campers. Coming up on, of course, tomorrow evening, we have 2 meetings scheduled. Now, one is on Zoom, which is the new investors, and we have a really great wholesaling speaker tomorrow night, Mike Agins, and he's a local guy, TRIA member, and knows wholesaling inside and out. In fact, you've probably seen some of his properties on the emails, the property emails that you get from us, because you can list your property listings on your own free website that you get from TRIA when you join. And he takes full advantage of that, and he lists a lot of his properties on the website. So tune in tomorrow night with him. And of course, Miss Karen is going to be doing one of our in-person meetings in Wilmington. So if anybody's got happy feet tomorrow and feels like taking a drive to the beach, I believe though, Karen, I think the meeting is full now, is it not? We're at
Yep, it is
capacity.
full. We
Yeah.
are full.
So don't be driving to
Oh, that's
Wilmington. Well, I
awesome.
mean, drive to
Wow, good
Wilmington if you
news.
want to see the ocean, but I
I
mean,
know.
don't drive to Wilmington tomorrow night. But that's going to be every month. That's going to be a monthly meeting. It's our new subgroup. So in the future, if you feel like doing a road trip, you want to meet some new people and get some information on it. Most importantly, Wilmington is a different market than Raleigh. So what would be important about even going down there in person just to meet some of the members that are in the immediate areas, that you would make networking, you would network with people that know that market. And if you're looking to expand your horizons, either buy and hold or even rehab down at the beach, that's going to be invaluable to get to know the people that are in the area and will be posting their deals on the TRIA website. So that's an idea for the future, is think about, it's a nice enough drive. Well, 95, not so much, but it's a nice enough drive if the weather's nice. So you might want to think about that. And then of course, on Friday, we have our first in-person meeting, which is the TRIA Experienced Investors. And that's with Melanie. It's going to be just mainly a networking meeting. Just let's get back into it. Let's feel what it's like to network in person rather than Zoomy. And it's at the Prestonwood Country Club in Cary. So it's an extremely good lunch. But what everybody needs to realize is getting back in person, our in-person meetings are going to be different from Zoom in that if you're a member, all our Zoom meetings have been free for the last year. Hasn't cost you a penny to join, and you could bop in at the last minute and you can, do whatever, or if something else comes up, we find that we have quite a few no-shows, which we don't particularly care for. We hope that if you commit to a meeting, you actually show up. The in-person meetings are different. And that's something that if you've never been to an in-person meeting with TRIA, if you've joined since all the COVID stuff and we were restricted, now we're getting back on a restricted basis because we're restricted in our attendance. The venues can only do so much capacity, and it's all, masked and social distancing still, because that's where we're still at and there's no getting around that. But we would still like to give everybody the opportunity. We need to generate the interest. In-person networking is totally different than networking on Zoom. You will find that out once we get back in full force. But what you realize is that even though the meeting is free, we still need to reimburse the venues. And the venues count on us because most of our venues are pretty much all of our venues are restaurants or have food service. That is what you are paying for with a $20 registration fee, is you're paying for. And in most cases, $20 doesn't cover the meal. And TRIA subsidizes a lot of that. With the restaurants, we make sure that you're covered, but that's what the price we have to pay to get back to in-person networking, to have that social contact and to be in the same room as people and be able to develop those relationships, which are very, very, very important to your real estate career, because it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's always who you know. Who do you know that you can go to for deals? Who do you know that you can go to for money? You need to develop those relationships, build your team. So don't think Zoom is the be all and end all. It's convenient, but it's not networking at its finest. So y'all need to think about it. Getting back to it. I'm sorry.
It's a poor substitute for real networking.
It is. It's a poor substitute for in-person networking. And once we get back to our main meetings, there's nothing, if you haven't experienced it, 250 real estate investors in the same room is craziness. The energy and everybody, making contacts and making relationships and getting deals. It's craziness how exciting that is. And we'll get there. We'll get
When
there.
you're on Zoom, you can't shake hands and meet your new financial
You can't look
friend
somebody,
and-
you can't look somebody in the eye. You can't form that personal bond. And it's hard right now. And we've dealt with it for the past year and we've been doing the best we can. So if you want to get into the networking, you want to make those connections, you're just starting out, the in-person meetings that we're trying to put together now are going to be very important to you. So if you can, we're limited in our attendance. You've got to get signed up. The first one, like I said, is this Friday. Experienced investors is basically what it says. Generally, experienced investors is limited to people who have done at least 5 deals because the topics are usually more advanced than a new investor would be able to understand or contribute to. But we're going to have lots more. We've got Tria West on the 26th, Monday night, the 26th. That's going to be in person. That's at the Mez restaurant on Page Road in Durham. That I haven't got Roxana's topic as yet or speaker, but we're working on that. That it will be a very good one. If you're looking forward to doing some in-person networking, that will be a very good one to sign up for. And again, it's $20, but it's the only way we compensate the restaurants for taking up their space, and they feed us. And it's usually really, really, really good food.
They have.
Alrighty, so that's where, and next week, main meeting. It's still on Zoom, but get signed up because it's Kathy Kennebrook, and she is an absolute wizard at marketing. So if you're looking to find out new ways of marketing with very little dollars, get on the main meeting next week. Get on the main meeting, sign up for it, and listen to Kathy because she is absolutely amazing at marketing. And if you're struggling or looking for different ways to do your marketing, she is the one to listen to. So that's next Tuesday. Be there at B Square because we'll be there.
She's great. And like Leslie said, this is a poor substitute for real networking. There are some things you can do. You can make us a little a member introduction video. You've probably seen us play those before. We just rotated one off. We could use a new one, and we'll play it every meeting, and people will know you and know what you're looking for. And you don't have to be a new member to do that. You can come to our monthly networking meeting, or again, come to the live meetings now.
Second Tuesday.
Network on our
Tuesday.
Our Facebook page. So we have 2. We have a business page, which you should like, and then we have a Facebook networking group, Triangle Real Estate Investors Association networking group. When people put everything on there, they're looking for flooring, roofing, they have houses to sell. There's all kinds of stuff going on. People are commenting,
Get on it.
super active. And while I'm going to say this on this meeting, because I have 2 people on this call this applies to, Karen and Antoine. When you, so we have the moderators, your posts have to be approved because, so you don't have to be a member to get on our networking group. Because we want, if you guys are trying to sell a house, we want you to have as wide of audience as possible. But we do not let non-members post because that's a benefit only for members. So when your name, Antoine and Heron, when your name on Facebook is different than your real name, your post might get kicked back. Heron, I think I caught yours because I figured it out because your first name is unusual. Antoine, I let 2 of yours through, but I think one of yours got kicked off. Here's the thing, guys. We don't always have the same moderator. So if I figure it out or someone else might not, but here's what you can do. If your Facebook name is something different than your name that you registered for TRIA under, just put us a little note at the end of your post. Put, this is Antoine Basquiat or something. So then we'll always make sure your posts don't get kicked back. Okay. Just FYI. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Karen. She looks like she got bumped off and came back, so I may need to give her permission again. Wait, she's gone.
No, she's there.
Here she is. All right, I'm giving her permission back. There you go. Okay, Karen, it's on you.
Hello. Sorry, the network did not love me so much and kicked me off, so now I'm on my phone. Welcome, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Beautiful day. Sun is shining. We should all be sitting outside, but today we have got our wonderful Crystal Slater. She is a TRIA board member, and she's a friend of mine that we met on the on the rehab house project that we did together. She is the president of, well, the owner of BDL Properties. I challenged someone to ask her what that stands for. It was very interesting. She's an investor. She's been investing for a couple of years, done a couple of flips, and she has very recently decided to ditch corporate America and join us in this big bird world of rehabbing and investing. So welcome, Crystal. She's now going to speak to us about one of her latest flips and how she got it and how she managed it and exit strategies, etc. So I think that if there are any questions in the toolbar, and then Kathy can ask her, and then unless it's something really important. Crystal, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Hi to everyone. I'm so excited to be given this opportunity to chat with you and share my most recent flip. Karen did a great job sort of introducing me. Let me share my screen real quick. And do you guys see it? Do you see it, Karen?
Yep, we can see it.
Awesome, awesome. So she did a great job sort of introducing you to me. I am an investor, but I will say that I'm fairly new at this. When you look at everyone that comes to TRIA, I'm 2 years into this. I went and I did get my real estate license to be able to sell my own properties. And so there you see my logo. I do have a company called Blue Dog Leader Properties where we buy and sell houses and we renovate them. And Karen did mention is that I actually did give up corporate America 1 week ago today. So, and I was able to do that through really the people I've met at TRIA, the information that I got. I did literally, I think I joined TRIA January 2019, and like in March, I had my first property. It was a subject to, and I've been doing properties ever since then. So I say that to you, that is, if I can do it, anybody can. And really it's because I started getting educated. I started meeting people. I started getting involved. I joined the group project, rehab project. And I'd done cosmetic flips, but I'd never done anything quite so big. And that was really the stepping board to this case study that I'm getting ready to share with you. Oh, hold on, guys. What happened? Okay, so what I have up here is my recent property. This is in Fuquay Varina. And can you guys, I'm trying to move the pictures right here. All right, so this is a property that I bought that's in Fuquay Varina. Now I actually happen to live in Fuquay, so this was a really great opportunity for me. But I bought it at auction, and that is not something you typically hear about with investors, because when I say this, it was not a tax auction. It was not a foreclosure auction. So this wasn't something at the courthouse steps. What I've found out is that there are a lot of auction houses that will put houses up, and they're actually doing that too because they think they can get more money for the house than maybe if they put it on the MLS. But it was a great opportunity for me because A, I know this area, but the benefits of buying at auction, if you're new to investing, because it is on the MLS, I could go and view this property multiple times. So unlike we all see like with wholesalers, like deals are being shown like, you know, they're being swooped up in hours from the time that we might see them on the networking Facebook site. So going this auction route was great because I knew the area. I could go and see this property multiple times. Now, because I'm an agent, I had access to it, but if you have an agent or anyone that you have access to from that perspective, you can bring your contractor, you could look at it multiple times. You're not having to make that quick judgment. And so for me, that was really, really beneficial. It gave me time to work my numbers. And you guys know, right, how quickly these things turn. Also, what was very helpful for me was that this was a guaranteed vacant home. I've looked at, the foreclosure auctions, and although I don't really love, I don't want to win off of somebody else's tragedy. But so the reason I say that is that was really helpful for me to say, I already knew that it was vacant. So that was great. So this is what the house looks like. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, was built in 1948, little shy of 1,500 square feet, huge lot for Fuquay, almost a ½ acre. Now, why I chose this house, it really wasn't that I got, well, let me actually go back and tell you that I bought this house in April of last year, right when COVID was hitting, right? So this was like uncharted territory. We actually did the auction in the parking lot. We sat in our cars and we bid on this house, and they would have someone right in front of you and they would like take your bid. Now, when Johnson Properties was doing this, they actually had about 6 houses that were being sold. What was difficult for me is I was interested in 2 of them. This house was the one that I really wanted, but the other house that I was interested in came up first, and it went fairly cheaply. And so I had to decide, do I wait? But what if I wait and I get to the house that I want and I get outbid? So I kind of had to juggle that, but I held tight. This was the house that I wanted. It went up basically to the amount that I had given myself that I would go to. I said I would go to 150. I bought it at 145. You have a buyer's premium, so I was in at 152. I would say that that is actually about what this property was worth. But the reason I bought this was location. This is a historic part of Fuquay. It's the mature part, and it's walkable to our downtown area, which has really been revitalized. You can get to a brewery. There's 2 restaurants, a coffee shop, a bakery. It's between 2 parks. I knew that the location was fantastic. But what was also great was because it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, if I could add another bedroom and bathroom, right? That's where we get real value. That's where we get that return on investment. And this house had a walk-up unfinished attic. So that's what you see in this top picture here. So my plan was to finish the attic, make that a master suite. And we were also going to enclose the breezeway, which is, you actually had to go outside to get to the laundry room, which was weird. And so I was going to enclose that, make that a laundry room, and that was another 200 square feet. So I added about 700 square feet to this. I also, what was appealing about this house was that I could reconfigure the layout. And so Karen was very sweet. We were friends from the rehab project, and she actually came out, and she has a different way. It's actually, that's why you want to meet different people, because she came to my house and said, well, why don't you think about doing this? Why don't you think about doing that? And so we really did reconfigure the layout. I know it's hard to see this schema down below, but we actually took down some walls. I moved the kitchen, making it into this main area here. So now it connects 2 living areas. So I share that was that what was great about this property was that we could change it and make it more valuable and more appealing to today's buyer. Now, I have never done a project this big. And so here's the plan. I don't need to necessarily read this, but there's really hardly anything in this house that we haven't touched. Roof, plumbing, electrical, we did the breezeway, mudroom, we added access to the backyard. I totally moved the kitchen. It was like an episode of HGTV. We finished the upstairs, added a huge marble shower, interior paint, exterior deck, gutters, the landscaping, a shed dormer. We'll talk about that later. We uncovered hardwoods. There were some that were already beautiful, but we found additional ones, and we added a stoop. Now you might say, like, how much was this? And what I would say is this has been an evolving project. And so when I first started this, before Karen came out, I was thinking that it was going to be about 80,000, but I had a buffer up to 100. Well, this plan is a $100,000 plan. Actually, I even went over a little bit more at 110. But each time we changed the budget, we were looking at what was the return on investment. So what I say to you is that this was a really big project, and it took a long time. So we're just now coming up on a year, and I'll share that with you because that was actually a calculated choice also. So what I throw in here was, just some of those beginning pictures, right? The demolition. The middle picture is of the kitchen where we took down these kitchen cabinets. And when you're doing that, it's not unscrewing cabinets. These things were built into the wall. Things were built to last back then. The third picture was actually as we pulled up laminate, then there was linoleum, and then underneath there we found hardwoods. So we were really lucky. We actually found pine. The rest of the house was oak, but we've been able to refinish them and it looks really pretty awesome. What I have here, I talked about how we actually moved a wall. So the before picture, there was actually a huge hutch here. We actually removed the hutch, and you can see in the middle picture, we've actually created a cased opening that's now taking you into what was the dining room that's now the kitchen. In the third picture, you can actually see into the kitchen where you have this island here. So we've opened the sight line of the house, right? Today's buyer wants this open concept, but you can't really do that back in those houses built in the 1940s. But what we were able to do is move the kitchen and make it really the heart of the home. And now we have sight lines from where I'm taking the picture. That's this new mudroom. I can look through the kitchen all the way into the living room. So it's turned out really well. Another picture that I threw up here was this, this family room when you first come in on this side entry door. So over on the left-hand side is the before. They had windows, but there was no access to the backyard. So if you look over on the right, you'll see that we added these French doors. We have a new deck out there. We have pulled up that laminate flooring, uncovering the natural pine. And you can also kind of see by the door is a mudroom that we've added down below there. That was this breezeway that we converted, making that heated square feet. We're able to put in the mudroom. This is just pictures from the outside. So looking in from the deck, it's a great entertaining house. Again, those doors open all the way up. I threw in the picture of this cute little cupola. Again, this house was built in the 40s. We've kept as many of the original features as we could. My husband really loved adding in this weather vane, and it totally goes with sort of the way this house feels. You can see here, this is the mudroom over on the left-hand side. Where the right-hand side, where you're seeing this kitchen table, this is where the actual kitchen was. So remember, I moved that to the middle of the house. We actually sealed up this room over here where you can see this gray wall right here. There was actually a hallway, and we sealed it up. And this was actually something that Karen suggested, but by doing this, it allowed me to steal some space from the second bedroom where we did some refiguration of the closet. So what I just tried to add in here were, pictures to see the house. So you can kind of see the before and after. So over on the left, this is what it looked like. It was a sad little house. It had been a rental for many years. Up at the top, or I don't know if you can see my mouse, I'm kind of circling where I had to add a shed dormer. And this was an important lesson that I learned along the way. So just kind of remember, this is where my shed dormer is. And over here on the left-hand side, you can see sort of a door that's boarded up. This is where the breezeway was at. This is now the laundry room. But you can see that the house has taken on a lot of charm. We've, changed the exterior colors. Now, the shed dormer was my very first lesson learned. So right when I bought this house, the whole plan was I was making this master suite upstairs. I bought the house, life is going, things great. It's COVID. It's taken forever to get back from the structural engineer. But he comes back to us and says, with the ceilings in this room, once they furred it down, it was not going to be the height that was required for code when we came up the stairs. Well, I couldn't not finish this upstairs, because that was the whole idea of this plan, was that I was making a third bedroom and a second bathroom. So what you're seeing here is what's called a shed dormer. So before you had slanted walls all the way, now they added in the shed dormer. So it gave us that straight roof. We added in windows. This was unexpected, like right off the bat, we had our first exception to the plan, which is why they tell you to always have that buffer money. But we talked about it, we built it in, and the shed dormer actually made the upstairs much, much bigger, more livable. What I've thrown in here is some pictures for you. So here's examples of what this used to look like. Over on the left-hand side, this was the unfinished attic. So we've furred the walls, we've added the carpet, we've painted. Here's a picture. Now I'm looking from where the bed would actually be. Let me go back to that. This space right here, this fits a king size bed plus extra room for 2 nightstands on either side. So this is a very, very expansive bedroom. So these pictures here are where you're actually looking from where the bed would be. You're looking into, we kept the vintage French doors that are glass. I've frosted those since then. I exposed the brick. So this was a chimney that was there. I'm trying to keep with sort of the character of the home. So this turned out well. This is sort of looking into when you come up the stairs right in front of you, where this is the closet. So this closet is, I don't know, 15 by 20. It's quite huge. So if someone was buying a house today, sometimes those older homes don't have very much closet space. This house has all of the charm downstairs, and the upstairs has totally been brought up to date. Huge closet, huge bedroom, a really sort of fancy bathroom area. Not the best picture here, but so we brought in, a freestanding vanity. We have the lighted mirrors over on the left-hand side. We did a walk-in marble bathroom, rain head shower tower. It sprays out from here. So really, we didn't spare any expense when we rehabbed the upstairs. Now I have a few more pictures here. So the living room, you can see the refinished floors. We put shiplap over the fireplace. I just kept a picture. We kept the actual front door, and we stripped that down and repainted it. So lots of the original charm of the house. Oh, here's the kitchen. Remember, I moved the kitchen into the middle of the house, so it's really a galley. But we did, the tile all the way up. We have the hood, and I have a freestanding island that I bought from World Market that really goes with the trend of the house. So we've had a lot of interest in this home. Oh, this is an example of one of the bedrooms. We added board and batten. My husband and my son did that. That was something that we did when we were sort of waiting for some tradesmen. COVID really made things go a little bit slower than we would have hoped. And that was one of the lessons that I learned too. So I had a general contractor who's somebody that I've done some personal houses with. And he was great. But one of the things I had told him, like, I need best price. I need the best price. And so like he got me the electrical was the best price, but it was a crew of two guys that were totally rewiring this house. So now if I was to do this, I would not be so penny wise and pound foolish. But so here's an example of, the bedroom, this is the downstairs bathroom. We kept the original tub and we were able to refinish that. So we tiled there, kept the tub. This is someone that I got from, I think Kathy was the person that gave me the name of this refinisher. So a lot of times it's the tradespeople that you learn about from other TRIA members. So here we go. This gives you an example of just sort of what the house looks like now. We painted the white brick. That's very controversial, but I love the way the white brick looks. And over on the right-hand side, we actually added this stoop. Before it was just sort of a little lip was there. And the light fixture that's here was actually used to be in the front. So it's the original fixture. We painted it up and added it. So that gives you just sort of a feeling of what this house looks like. But now the question is, when do you sell it and what's that return on investment? And so what I would share with you is we had planned that this was going to be a 6 to 8 month rehab. COVID definitely made that process a lot longer. I was really hopeful that we would get it on the market at the end of the year, which was going to be 7 months. So December comes and we're not ready to put it on the market. And so we really stopped and did a reevaluation. And part of that was the market was starting to really go crazy. And this is a really great area of Fuquay. We also started crunching some numbers, looking at our tax liability. What do I owe if I own it less than a year? What do I owe in taxes if I sell it after owning it a year? And then the other great thing that happened was that there was a comp in the neighborhood 1 block away that was a complete gut like ours. And it was pre-sold. And so it's coming in at $208 a square foot. And Fuquay is like at 170, 175. And this other house is going to close actually at like $230 a square foot, which is huge for Fuquay. So as we started to look at it, I told my husband, we would actually be better off instead of selling it, right? A lot of times when you're flipping, you want to turn it quick. But in this case, if we held it, I think that we could make more money and pay less in taxes. So that was actually to get my husband to wrap his mind around that, because we want to turn it so quickly, but I could actually make more money by holding it. And over on the right-hand side, I kind of just shared this with you. This is a social media post I did on a Facebook group in Fuquay. You can look down here that there was like 363 likes of my post. This house was garnering a lot of attention, more attention than I ever even possibly knew. So we've actually had offers, to buy it at $350, which is huge, right? I bought it at $150, have 100 in it. That's a $250. They're saying $350, but I could actually make more by holding it. So here's the numbers. So if I had sold it at the
Why
9 months.
is that? Is it because you don't have a job this year? Is that the tax strategy?
No, versus short-term versus long-term capital gains. So with capital gains, if you sell a property that you've owned for less than a year, then what you owe is whatever your income tax bracket is. My husband and I both work full-time. We're at a pretty hefty tax bracket. But if I held it and I do it for over a year, now that's a long-term capital gain and you owe 15%. So that could be huge. So if we kind of look at these numbers.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just for the benefit of the members, you purchased this in your personal name, right? Not a.
No, I've purchased it in the LLC.
You purchased it in the LLC, but you had a concern with the capital?
Well, so this might be a question, because I'm assuming this. So is there not short-term and long-term capital gains if you buy it in your company name?
It's a great question for your accountant.
Yeah,
LLC is really its own separate entity. I mean, if your tax is an S corp, the revenue flows through on your personal, but it's not the same ramifications. I don't know, Kathy, if I'm
okay.
explaining
I
this thing.
I know about as much as Jackie knows, which is yeah, it's a different, your tax bracket is different because it's K1 income. But yeah, I agree. I know enough about tax law to be dangerous. So yeah, it's
Right.
more question
So
for your
this-
account.
Right, and so that's interesting is that, so now that I'm doing it full time, because I've been doing my taxes on my own, right? So I'm just assuming that it would be the same as
Oh.
this.
Yeah.
But the concept is still the same, right? So let's say I bought it personally in my husband's and my name. You know, the difference if I sold it at the 9 months at the 350, you can see the purchase price, the repair costs, there's the gross profit of 83,000, but I was assuming from a taxes, I'm going to owe 20. So my net profit is 53. And that really was a lot of work for $53,000. But now, if we sell it at the 12-month point, because we're basically just sitting here waiting for May 14th. We have a lot of people that are interested. We're doing a pre-listing appraisal so I can make sure. But the ARV is coming in right at 400,000, which is just amazing to me. And that's really still pretty conservative. Yeah, that's 190 a square foot. Remember that comp just around the corner, it was at 208, and now they're saying it'll be 233 when it closes. So even if my holding costs go up and I have to pay a commission, which I wasn't doing in this upper one because I've had a direct offer, but even if I go ahead and put this on the MLS, because we all know there's bidding wars going on out here, my gross profit is 117,000. But if I only have to pay the long-term capital gains, which is 15%, that net profit goes to right at $100,000. So this house has really been it's been a long process, but we've had the perfect storm, right? With this market, the way that it's been growing. I bought it well because I knew I could add value to it. And I will also say that I could do this because I don't have hard money loans. So we used our HELOC to be able to pay cash for that house. And then we self-funded the repairs. So that was very lucky from that perspective. But here we are, that we're looking at a $400,000 purchase price here by holding it until that year mark. So
I mean,
this is,
I think that's a solid strategy. Even I don't think you have a capital gains issue because are you you have two members in your LLC?
yes.
Yeah, so you'll just each get a K1 for a portion of the profit. But even though it was still a sound strategy because the market wasn't this hot a year ago, and you won't have a full-time job by the time you report taxes on this. So I think, yeah, that turned out to be super smart.
Yeah, and
Thank
you have enough of a buffer and a threshold. You could have paid for hard money, you could have paid private money,
Yeah, you could have.
and then done
Yeah.
a second house at the same time. Cool.
Yes, and Jackie has a house just across the street from this house. So Jackie, this is a good area for that 511 Fuquay property. You have.
Yeah, and you know what, Crystal, you have to keep an eye out on it for me, or I'll bring you over. We are starting construction. May 10th is what my GC said. May go to May 5th, but we were just there last week, so it.
Nice.
And just in time, because I think O is coming to Fuquay, which is boutique condos as well. So.
Oh yes, yeah. So this is
Yeah.
Fuquay is hot. This is a great area. And the other thing that I would just share is other investors are actually a great source of information for you. So this comp that I told you about, that they actually pre-sold it, and that we're actually just basically waiting for it to close. But I actually talked with that investor, and he was the one that told me, like, hey, this one is actually going to close higher than what's on the MLS. And he wants my property to go as high. So he was telling me as much information as possible because he has other property right around this area. And so that's going to make that area continue to go up. So him selling high, me selling high, it's good for all of us together. So you can see that it's been a long project, but it's really going to be a home run. And if this is one of the reasons why I'm able to I'll be able to sock away some cash and be able to do this full time. So this last picture is my husband and my son, and we're sitting there eating our lunch at this property, but we've been super excited doing it. And thanks for letting me share my flip with you.
Okay, there's a few questions for you. Okay, Karen, hold on, I gotta give you permissions again. Well, before we get to these questions, I just want everyone to pay very close attention. Did you notice what Crystal said? She's a newer investor, but look at this wonderful home run project she just did. And what gave her the confidence to do it was participating in the prep rehab project. So you can see where these little classes really, you know, all the meetings you sit through and all the education you take, those are all great. They're all necessary for your career, but sometimes you just got to jump out there and do it. And taking one of those prep classes will give you that push that you need. And I mean, if Crystal took what she learned on that rehab project and did this, all of you can do it too. So, okay. So people are saying beautiful job. Well, I'm looking to get Karen her permissions back here. And what's Crystal's full-time job now? Crystal is quit her job. If you came in late, Sheila, Crystal quit her full-time job to be a full-time investor now. Okay, so Keith Felton is asking, how did you handle the significant change in material costs over the last 6 months?
Well, the nice thing is, you know, I do have a general contractor. And so I had a quote, and he chunked it up into, we basically did not 3 draws, but 3 projects, you know. So the first one was the demo and the gutting. And then it was the second one, which had a lot of the trades. So what I will say is that, you know, he gave me a price and we stuck to it. The biggest heartburn I had was when I added on the deck, because, you know, that deck would have cost me like $1,500, you know, a year ago. And it was like almost, I think it was like $2,800. So the good news was that, you know, we just constantly kept tabs of our budget and where we were at. And so by holding it for this long a time period, we also were getting a much greater return on investment. So I didn't have quite the worry that you might have had otherwise.
Yeah, it's like Jackie said, she had plenty enough padding in there to get her through. quite a few holding increases.
And I would just
Alicia asked, was there plaster walls in the house?
There was not plaster walls in the house. So they had a renovation back in the 70s. So a lot of that was already taken care of. So we were fortunate in that perspective.
Okay, Antoine is asking if you could talk a little more about the auction process.
Yeah, so the auction process is a lot different than, again, that if you're doing a tax or the foreclosure where you go to the courthouse and you bid on it, and then you have like a 10-day upset period. You do not have that at all with these type of auctions. So I would tell you, you could go look at Johnson Properties. That's one of the auction houses. Rogers is another auction house. It's interesting because now I've gotten on all these mailing lists because now somebody's algorithm knows that I'm a buyer. So these are on the MLS. If you have a real estate agent, they could also kind of set up a search for you. But in this particular case, Johnson Properties had an announcement. They said, you know, there was these 6 properties kind of in the South Wake County area. You could call and register for the auction. And when you do that, then if you had an agent, they could give you access to the home. I would tell you that I probably went into this house 4 times, one time by myself, once with my husband, when we brought my general contractor out, constantly kind of looking at it. And so when the actual day came, you could bid online, or you could bid, you could do it in person. It saved me 1% if I did it in person. So I'm all about a deal. So I was there. And like I said, there was another property that I was interested in. We held tight, did it from my car. And basically they kind of asked you which houses they thought you were going to be interested in. And it was between me and another person, and I was able to win. I think you had to put 10% down, and then you actually then you closed. And at that point, it's just like a normal house closing. You're able to say, who you want to do your closing with. We did it with Russell and Associates, and it worked out really well. So I would just
Can
say,
I ask, I'm sorry, wait, so this auction though, doesn't have an upset period, is that
no.
correct?
So this is just a regular auction. They're very common with like estate sales. So
Yes.
oftentimes you'll see an estate sale and auction where they'll have an estate sale and then auction the property. Sometimes a normal person will just decide to have an auction, to sell their house at auction instead of list it with a realtor. Well, that's less common. Usually in most of these situations, it's almost always an estate situation. Do you know if yours was, Crystal?
Mine was not. It turns out mine was, they were tired landlords. It turned out that I actually knew the people who owned this house. But Johnson Properties absolutely does do a lot of estates where the deceased and the heirs are now selling the property. And what I would say to my TRIA members that are on here, a normal investor might not want to do this because you're not getting it low enough. But if you can go into the house and you can see a way that you can add value, or maybe it's a large lot, right, that you would be able to buy the house and subdivide it. Think about ways of adding value. It's funny because Lionel always talks about, he tries to look for property where he can add value. So you have to think differently, but it was such a great way because I was able to look at the property multiple times. I was able to crunch numbers. And we all know, like, if we're trying to get a wholesale deal, if it's a good one, it's gone before you can even really, jump on it.
Did you have a lot of people bidding against you on this property?
I did, so it's all like how auctions start out when it first started. And it started, I think, around 117,000. So it went from 117 all the way up to 145. But at the end, it was between me and another person. I couldn't really even see them because they were in a car far down in the parking lot. But I would say there was probably about 25 people at the auction. But remember, there was about 6 or 7 properties being auctioned off. So not everybody was interested in the same one. So there was definitely interest. But I was super excited that I won it.
Yeah, that's a great price. So yeah, usually your auction situations aren't just like, I'm going to sell my family home. It's usually an estate, or like in this case, someone who maybe owned multiple properties who was getting out of them. It's generally there's some sort of special situation that makes a person decide to auction instead of just go list it with a realtor.
Yes,
Patrick
absolutely.
McVeigh is asking if you had any lead paint or asbestos issues.
We did not have lead paint or asbestos issues, but my contractor took care of that stuff.
All right, any other questions for Crystal? That's awesome. What a great project. And wow, to just know that all the skills that Crystal learned from doing that group rehab brought her to this point is as a better testimonial than any advertisement we could ever give for our classes, man. That speaks for itself right here. You are getting a lot of people saying awesome and thank you. And Antoine is asking, he says the renovation looks very nice and unique. Did you use comps to dictate the renovation? I guess in other words, did you take into account the end value before deciding how much to spend on it?
Yes, absolutely. And so it's interesting because when I bought it, I thought it was going to be 300,000 was my comp that I had done. And then when I decided that we were going to move some walls and move the kitchen, and I was going to invest more, really that extra 20, then I looked at the comps and I said 325 is what this house could support. And I was really thinking about the buyer that would be coming in. I thought it would be a younger couple that would want the ability to walk to all the restaurants and breweries. So I was using that as my target. And again, now think of if I sold it right now, it was going to be 350. So absolutely, I was constantly sort of doing that touch point of the things that I was adding, who I think my buyer was going to be, and what was my return on investment. And I'll have to tell you that that was such a huge lesson that I learned in the rehab pilot project was, the trio you guys brought in an appraiser, a real estate agent, and an inspector. And that was such an eye-opening experience for me, because I remember we were on the pilot project trying to decide, should we take the popcorn ceilings off? And it was really because, today's buyer might want that, but was I going to get return on investment? And so everything that we did on this one was we would stop and say, is this going to pay me dividends on the back end? So anyhow, absolutely. You just constantly look at the finishes that you're going to do, where you're at, and what's that return going to be, and is it going to be worth it?
And not only that, that's a constant, but you also, as a new investor, one of the most important things I think, and I know we had a lot of conversations about this in the rehab class, is you cannot let your personal or emotional decisions be attached up in that house. So, just what you might do if you were going to live there might not be cost effective. And as a new investor, that's a real skill you have to learn, is to separate your emotions from your economics of your first project. All right, we got a few more questions. Judith is asking, how did you come up with your bid amount? So did you have an amount you were prepared to go to, and did you get close to it?
Yes. So I had promised my husband that I wouldn't go over 150 as my bid price. So again, the thing started at 117 and I won it at 145. So I did absolutely know I had an endpoint, and it was getting close. It was getting close, and I thought that I might lose it, in which I was going to be sad that I hadn't bid on the other property. But it definitely came in right under my number that I had said that I would buy it at.
Okay, Alicia is asking, who had the vision for moving the walls, and how did you know the walls could be moved?
So I will say that our lovely host, Karen, who came out, was, because originally when I bought the house, I was like, okay, I was going to update things, but I wasn't moving the kitchen. And I was going to put the laundry room inside, but I wasn't going to enclose that breezeway. But Karen had, some vision that said, why don't you think about doing X? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And so I was fortunate because I do have a general contractor. And so I was able to bring him out, and then he was able to, tell us if it was going to be a load-bearing wall, if there were things that we couldn't do, or if we could. So again, you have to have tradespeople that are on your team, right? You can't really do a lot of these things by yourself. You can have the vision, but someone has to be able to come in and say, is it doable? And is it feasible for the money? In my case, I believed that what this house would garner would absorb the cost of doing those remodels, right? Taking down that wall, moving the kitchen. So this was a big project. It really was a big project. I haven't done anything quite this big. We don't really do our work. I mean, we write checks, but it's turned out well. And so I'm super excited about it.
For those of you who don't know, your lovely and fearless subgroup leader, Karen, in addition to being your subgroup leader, is also an architect. So yes, if she comes and looks at your property, you will be moving some walls, no doubt. Okay, Garima is asking, what is a free listing appraisal?
Oh, a pre-listing appraisal.
Yeah, I
not
think she
pre-listing.
must have misheard you. She
No,
has
no.
free, I think she means pre.
So in my case, it's interesting because a lot of the comps that are around my property are not really like for like. So that's why this new comp that was coming on was so fantastic for us, because it was really the most similar to what we have. And so now, people have been telling me that they thought that I could get this 400,000 price point, but I didn't want to believe it. So we are doing that pre-listing appraisal. So I'm going to pay $500, but I'm waiting because I need that comp to have closed. And that's the biggest thing, right? You need to know what's around you. You want to look at things that have sold, but you also want to be looking at what's coming up, right? And if there's a house that's getting ready to close around you that's going to boost up your comp, then you want to make sure that it's closed, not that it's pending, because then that wouldn't be counting towards that appraisal. So you just kind of always want to know what's going around there. So for my husband and I, we're doing the pre-listing appraisal because that will make sure that I'm not leaving money on the table. So I want to list it at a price that will be attractive to today's buyer, but that I know that the house is going to be able to support it.
So,
This-
Crystal, just a quick comment. I've seen a lot of houses close lately that did not appraise, and the buyer that they chose because of the intense competitive process. Part of your consideration, let's say you don't get a pre-listing appraisal, and let's say you list it at 4 and it appraises for 375. Part of your consideration in choosing, because you will have multiple offers, and choosing which contract to accept would be the one that says, we don't care if it appraises, we can buy it anyway.
Right. Yeah, I know. So for everyone on here, that's almost becoming very normal now, is that people will do, I don't know if it's called an escalation clause, but right, they'll make up the difference on what the house will appraise at.
And so what Crystal just said is the key now. So I don't think we want to teach you to make that your norm, because that's not going to last forever. And in normal days, that's not the case. You definitely want your house to appraise. It's just that in this current market, with the intense competitive competition for properties, it's really a lot less of a worry than it is in a normal market.
Yeah, and I will say, this is just, because Crystal, I did that once, and it's been 2 years ago now. I did a pre-listing appraisal because we were actually one of the first houses to renovate in this
Yeah.
area. It happened to be one in Cary. And I thought, let me just get it. My experience was, because it wasn't under contract, it was pre-listing. They didn't have the same, pressure's not the right word, but I'm going to use it.
Yep, it is the right word.
They weren't trying to hit a number. It came in, and it came in very conservative. I discarded it, listed it for what I thought. The
Right.
buyer's appraisal, and this was within 4 weeks of me getting mine, they knew nothing about it, came in $75,000 higher.
Wow.
And that is super common. If they don't have a purchase price, it's not the way it should be, but I'm sorry, it's a fact of life. If they don't have a
Conservative.
purchase price to meet, and I think pressure is about the only word, they
Right.
often don't. So that's why, yeah, it's good advice. Good advice from Jackie. Did you run a title search before bidding?
No, I don't think I did. I can't remember.
So with this kind of auction, unlike a foreclosure auction, a title search before bidding is not important, because with a tax foreclosure or mortgage foreclosure or lien foreclosure, when you're buying that property, no matter what, like once you bid, you're going to buy it or you're going to lose your deposit. So you really should have a title search done first. With this kind of auction, they do, it's not the same. It's not that like, oh, you bought it now. They do guarantee to deliver good title, whereas your foreclosure auctions do not. So
Oh, that's
I think
great to know.
okay, Karen, someone's asking you to share your contact information if you want to pop that in the chat. And last question, and then we'll let Karen wrap it up. How do you find these type of, oh, sorry, another question just popped up. These type of auctions, you're best to find by looking at the auction houses or, and getting on their list. Like Crystal said, she's on their list now. Okay, last question. Does the auctioneer let you know the starting bid before you attend the auction?
Yes, and so this property was actually open for bidding for a few days before the live. So, you know, I think they tried to get some chum in the water. So like I said, when we actually went there, the starting bid was 117,000. So we did know what it was going to start at. And then I knew how much I was willing to go to.
So yeah, if you want to find these kind of auctions, just Google real estate auctioneer, Google estate sales, and you can add yourself on their list. Like I used, it's a different kind of auction for clients in the past that was foreclosing on commercial property. I used like a company called Wester Auction. They do commercial auctions. And same as Crystal, I'm now on all the mailing lists for the commercial auction houses, and those are less, sometimes it is real estate, big commercial real estate, but it's like there's a lot of like restaurant liquidation auctions and stuff like that, police cruisers. But if you want to get on their list, they're happy to have you.
Right.
So just Google them and find the different ones.
And what I would just say is, like, you could also, I mean, feel free to send me an email. So it's cslater313@gmail. And, you know, I could add you to a list, like when I'm getting something, I could send it out to you. So these are on the MLS. So if you have an agent, they could help you get on the auction sites. You know, what Kathy said is, you know, Google and check around, but there are a lot of great other opportunities. It's not just, you know, wholesaling or doing direct mail yourself. So hopefully this was valuable for you guys.
Definitely was. That'll turn it back over to you, Karin.
Wow, thanks, Crystal. It looks, I've seen it in person, so I knew it was amazing, and they did a fantastic job, way better than what I had in my head at the time. And just to qualify, I am not an American-born or trained architect. I am a South African trained architect, built very differently. So just my skill is design, not necessarily, if you know, my skill would not be in technical drawings and that kind of stuff. But Crystal took what I said and some plenty more and did an amazing job. And you guys can all see that flipping is it's multifaceted. It's about who you know, who you can draw on, who you can ask. It is very scary if you're going to try and do it on your own, because you know, you need to bounce ideas off. You need to, who do you use for this? Or your plumber drops you and you need someone else, and you just reach out to your network of people. And if you're part of TRIA, and that's why it's so exciting to get back into in-person meetings where you can really start to connect with people and move forward. So we look forward to seeing everyone in person very soon. Crystal, thank you 1,000 times. I'm glad Crystal's been very sick the last week, so I'm glad she managed to look all beautiful today. And, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you at the next meeting.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks.
There we go.
They got out quick tonight. I only had to remove one.
I know. What the heck?
Why
It's
are
getting
you
late.
doing that?
That was so cool. I've always wanted to buy something at an auction, so I had a lot of questions.
Yeah, that was a big job. Geez, she really did a great thing. And you've got the house straight across the road, so that's quite.
I know. I want her to sell the top.
And I think it will.
Mine's gonna be very different, but good for her. That's awesome.
Oh, good deal.
Okay, well, y'all, I will see you. When is this first? Is this on Thursday or Friday? I thought it was on Thursday, the in-person, the Prestonwood.
Friday at 11:30.
Oh, okay, then I can do it. I thought it was Thursday.
Yeah, and I just realized I just sent out a last call for experienced, and so I cut and pasted from what I originally sent out and then updated it. But on my week at a glance, I had the start time at 12:30. So I changed it to 11:30. I'm hoping everybody that signed up
Yeah,
realized.
they'll see it when they sign up, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people don't pay a lot of attention until they get that reminder email.
That you're saying they don't read my PR notices very closely, Karen.
No, we do. But make your first sentence good. No, the time is like that's irrelevant. You put that in at some time. You check to see if it's lunchtime or dinner time. That's all you check.
Very true.
Okay.
Hey, Jack,
Alright.
is there a way to check spam?
Oh, I'll look. Shouldn't have
Right.
gone spam because it didn't allow,
Oh, no.
but
I don't know.
let me go.
Okay, I'm going to jump off. Cheers, guys. Have a good evening.
All right, ta-ra.
Bye.
Bye.
What are you looking for, Kathy?
So,
You need a,
I'm,
oh,
so I
that
don't-
code thing. Okay, never mind.
and they're
I know what you're
sending it to
talking about.
publicity@tria.com supposedly, but she's not getting it and.
Oh,
I
wait,
don't know
it's-
what-
Tria publicity at gmail.com.
No,
Yeah.
publicity@tria.com.
At Tria,
Wait,
well, yeah, but Tria, publicity@tria.com should forward to
Maybe not.
Tria Publicity at Gmail. They're supposed to.
so the last
The
time,
Tria.com emails are supposed to forward through to the Gmail accounts.
All right, so maybe what we need to do is get the information to go into the tria.com domain, what email server and get access to that email. Because obviously it's not being forwarded because Jackie's not getting it.
I didn't,
Right.
but didn't I get it last week when you were trying to do it? I was getting codes.
No, that's when you gave me to try to log on to the email, which would have been the
Oh.
wrong email anyway, because.
Yeah, okay, I got it. You're right.
Hang on. So you're saying publicity
At tria.com.
at Tria.com should go through to, it should go through to the Gmail.
But it doesn't, because they just sent a code
Well, I
twice.
just sent an email to publicity@tria.com. Jackie, see if it comes into your Gmail account. If it doesn't, then we have a problem. Because all those Tria.com emails are supposed to forward to the Gmail, because the reason we set up the Gmail accounts is so there was continuity and you could just keep passing it off year after year after year. But the Tria.com, we couldn't do that.
So who controls the email account? I think Mike Jacka, huh?
No, Chuck was,
Yeah, but one time I asked Chuck and he said, no, he got it from Mike Jacka.
he's full of crap.
That's what I'm afraid of. And then I'm never
He's
gonna.
he's the one that set up all the Gmail accounts.
That's what I thought. I swore.
He did. He did. He did.
Oh, he has forgotten.
He hasn't forgotten. He's passing the fucking buck. He doesn't want to deal with it.
Mm.
He hasn't forgotten. He knows damn well he set up the Gmail accounts because he got on everybody's ass for the longest time.
All right, but it's not, this is not, you mean the tria.com account.
No, he set up the Gmail, all the tree at
Okay, but I don't
the,
need the Gmail account. I need the publicity@tria.com account.
but that's what I'm saying. He set up all those to forward to the Gmail accounts. Or Brad did, somebody did. Because nobody was looking at their Tria.com accounts that we forwarded everything. That's why we set up the Gmail accounts.
No,
I
I remember
just-
that.
Otherwise, we didn't have to.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wait, I just got something from Tria membership. What's that? for?
That's me.
Okay.
So I
well,
just sent that
But then why, is-
I just sent that up to Tria publicity or publicity@tria.com. Is that where I sent that? And
Okay,
it came into
just-
your Gmail?
it came into Tria publicity at Gmail. Yeah.
then
Yes.
why isn't she getting a thing from Instagram? And you check the spam deck?
I did. You know what? Would it have come in looking like gobbledygook? Maybe I deleted. Hold on. I get a
Maybe.
spam looking stuff that scares me.
Yeah.
That looks, I don't know, from Japan or something.
Yeah.
Let me see.
No, all the Tria.com emails should forward to the corresponding Gmail account, all of them. Nobody should have to go into tria.com accounts.
Trash.
That's why we did it.
Oh. Okay, so in my trash, but it's weird, Kathy. At 6:43, I got something from Instagram, but it is literally in like Japanese or something.
Oh, God, can anything be fucking easy?
So I'm
Nope.
afraid to click on it. I just automatically, because,
Well, don't now, because let me do it again, because that one's probably expired. So let's just try this one more time.
okay.
So hold on, give me
And
a
this
sec.
time I'll just click on it and,
All right.
Mm.
All right, I got it. Hold on, because I got to go back and find the password again. Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm sorry, I put the password in wrong. Just give me another second.
yeah, no, that's fine. And then that's it for tonight, right? That's all we're gonna.
Yeah.
Okay. One day I'm gonna steal Lionel's fan. But he's not.
I'll probably lift the ceiling off your damn house.
Yeah.
But it keeps you cool at night.
That's too many.
Too many what, blades?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I love it. I got blade envy.
I put them in almost every single house, and freaking sellers come in. I mean, buyers come in, and they just like eyes go straight to the
That's too
top.
many.
Just,
And they probably never turn the damn things on because they got the AC cranked and all their blinds closed and they don't need the damn fans.
Sizzle feature, it sells a house. It helps. Sizzle feature.
I can think of better things to spend my money on than a ceiling fan.
Yeah, but that's like $150, believe it or not.
wow.
I don't spend like $500 on ceiling fan. I catch them on sale at Wayfair or Bill.com. Catch their closeouts.
Yeah.
That's a good looking fan.
It is. Too damn big, but it's a good looking fan. What is wrong with these people? I'm getting all these a-hole emails through membership tonight for people that just don't have a freaking clue.
Is it the Kennard?
And I'm about over Kathy Kinnebrook. Because now she's bitching at me. I sent her the invitation, the Zoom invitation. And she says, well, speakers don't normally have to register.
Tough shit.
I said, it is the Zoom invitation, and all you have to do is put in your damn name and it takes you directly to the meeting. So what the hell's the problem, lady? She's getting on my last nerve, that one. Stephen Kennard's got 3 accounts set up. Why?
Oh, Jackie, I can't. It's getting an error. I'll try it again sometime when you're available. I don't know what's going on with it. It's
Okay,
not.
I'm sorry, I trashed the other one. You want me to click on it just in case?
I'll do it again sometime when you're available.
Okay. Then this time I won't throw it in the trash, even if it looks like it's Japanese.
Okie doke.
And I mean, I like Japanese, but just.
I don't know what's wrong. Ever.
All right.
So Karen, you're all set for tomorrow? Are you good to go?
You're muted, babe. Karen, you're muted. Muted.
I didn't want y'all to hear what's going on at the beach. All this wild talk. Yeah, I've got all the sandwiches ordered. I've got, Waters, chips. And Jackie, what more do I need?
That's all you need.
Going on a road trip.
All you need.
Yeah.
Cool.
Y'all just need to take turns.
Alrighty, well, y'all have a bunch of fun.
Yeah, you too.
Hope we don't
Me
have.
and, me and, me and Kathy will be doing the usual with Mike Agins or whatever the hell his name is.
Well, we just hope we don't have to throw anybody out, but you know,
Yeah, but if we do, we do. We're just kidding.
I'll have my 38 with me. That's all we need.
You know,
As long as Karen's packing, I'm
Kathy, we got 38 signed up so far for new investors tomorrow night.
So I told my class to all come. I told them that was be their content for this week.
Oh my God, yes. And he is a font of freaking wholesale
I
information,
know,
that
and I
boy.
told him I'd try to get him to stay after and just have a special Q&A just for them.
Oh, okay.
Is
So
he
that-
based out of Raleigh?
No,
well,
no,
that's
he's
great,
more
great,
towards
but-
Rocky Mount.
Yeah, most of his activity is towards Rocky Mount.
Mhm.
Because I want to try and get some good speakers down here. Would he come this far?
Probably not.
You never know. I'd ask.
Well, doesn't hurt to ask, but the fact is he doesn't want to seem to do anything that might inconvenience him.
all right, guys, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna go say,
All right, Henny.
um,
Drive safe tomorrow.
Yeah.
yeah, we're still recording, so we may wanna, edit.
Oh,
Oh,
Cool.
We may want to edit